Um, I know we are doing very badly in time now. I hand us over to Zita. Zita Holbourne, who is an activist organizer with Black activists rising against courts in UK or BARAC, to hear about the tools, tactics, and strategies they've been using to intervene in the recent deportation flight. Zita Holbourne, to speak about the strategy.
Thank you. Thanks for that introduction. Greetings, everybody. I'm the co-founder and national chair of BARAC UK. We were established in 2010. We campaign against discrimination and injustice faced by Black communities, service users, and workers in the UK. And one aspect of our work is to campaign on migrant rights, and also against deportations. In 2012, we founded an organization, or co-founded an organization called Movement Against Xenophobia, to oppose immigration laws that were coming in at that time, which we were warning were going to lead to the types of deportations that we've been seeing over this year. But they haven't just happened this year, they've been happening for many years. And we were warning then that what became known as the Windrush scandal was going to happen, that it wasn't just going to be people who were new migrants to the UK or more recent migrants to the UK or overseas students. It was going to be communities who have been in the UK for quite a long time who were also going to be targeted for these types of deportation under the hostile environment. And at that time, of course, it was several years later before the sort of term Windrush scandal was being used as a description. And when we talk about the Windrush scandal, people often think of it as being just about people from the Caribbean, but actually it's about people who come from across the Caribbean, African and Asian regions, who have come to the UK as part of the Commonwealth, as part of the British Empire, linked to the legacies of enslavement and colonialism. And so we've been campaigning against the Windrush scandal, against deportations, both charter flight mass deportations, which are the things we've seen happen over the summer on virtually a weekly basis, with a disproportionate number targeting people from Zimbabwe and from Jamaica. But we've also campaigned for many years against deportations of individuals on commercial flights, because often people are put on commercial flights with passengers that are going on their business trips or on holidays. So I've been asked to talk about some of the tactics and the things we do to campaign. So this is, as I said, quite a long time campaign. So when we started doing this through the Movement of Xenophobia, one of the things we did was to do a poster campaign that went on tubes and trains and on billboards, which was called the I Am an Immigrant campaign, which featured real people who were people that have migrated to the UK, showing what they do as a contribution. So they're a nurse, they're a builder, they're a surgeon, they're a lawyer, they're a teacher, to put that message out there that actually Britain needs migrant communities and migrant workers. I mean, if all the migrant communities in the UK were to leave, whether they're first generation or the children and grandchildren of migrants, the country and the economy would absolutely collapse. It wouldn't be able to survive. If we look at the pandemic, it has depended on migrant labour to keep the country running, to keep essential services running, to keep the NHS running. So one aspect of what we're doing when we're campaigning on these issues is to highlight the fact that actually we benefit society, we contribute to the economy, the country wouldn't be able to survive. Also to highlight those links with colonialism and the British Empire and enslavement. But in terms of practical things in campaigning against mass deportations, we do a number of things, so we use social media, we protest, we involve MPs, We put out warnings when these planes are going and when they're not going, to warn people that actually, if you are somebody that's at risk, don't wait to get legal representation and support when you're detained, because the turnaround can be very fast. Literally in a week, you could be snatched up, detained, and booked onto a flight to be deported. And that leaves you very little time. And during the pandemic, getting legal representation and access to lawyers and being able to communicate with lawyers has become even harder than it ever was before, because computer rooms in detention centres have been locked down and there's restrictions and people can't get through to people. So what we've seen as well over time, and actually in these recent deportations, is that often people end up with a lawyer that's not the best lawyer for them. And I don't want to, put down the legal profession, because we are also a founding organisation of Black and Asian Lawyers for Justice, which is our sister organisation that campaigns alongside us on these issues, which is made up of activists and lawyers. And there are fantastic lawyers in that group who are specialists in immigration cases. And that's what's crucial, that people have lawyers that are specialists and experts and know what they're doing with this type of case. And what we see time and time again is people, quite understandably, when they're in a desperate situation and they've got very little time, end up just going to a local lawyer or a lawyer that somebody knows in their family or amongst their friends and says, yes, we can represent you. But we have seen people let down and people deported or nearly deported, and then actually being asked for and even threatened for huge amounts of money. So one of the things that we'd say is crucial in terms of strategy and getting you off that flight and out of detention is having the right legal representation. So that means if you're at risk or potentially at risk, it really needs to be something you look at before that risk happens, is upon you. And so we support people in terms of practical advice on their legal rights, what they can do, what the procedures are. We link people up with lawyers and who can represent them and support them. We have some petitions running. I've put one of the petition links into the chat quite a long time ago, which has 200,000 people that signed it. But we use that as a sort of campaigning tactic, because there's 200,000 people on there. When we want somebody to take action or do something or lobby the government or write to their MPs or come to a protest or do an online direct action targeting those who are complicit with the system, it means that we can reach a lot of people fast. But we have some other petitions which are about the Windrush compensation scheme and scandal. We did one specifically on the flights to Zimbabwe during the summer, just to focus on that particular group of people who were impacted. So we use social media, which we've had to do much more than ever during the pandemic, because it wasn't safe and Black people are contracting and dying of COVID disproportionately. So it wasn't appropriate to go and do the protests that we would normally do, but we do go and organise protests. We engage MPs, we've had lobbies of Parliament, we've had meetings in Parliament. We've worked with MPs to put down parliamentary questions and early day motions to raise concerns about these issues and to lobby and work on our behalf. And when somebody is impacted, we would try and link them up with their MP as well. So there's a huge number of tactics, and then we're working with groups that are doing direct actions as well. And one key thing I'll just mention, because I know you want me to speak fast, I'll try to speak fast, is that we have been working on some direct actions and targeting of those who are complicit with the system, which is quite crucial, because for example, the key one, of course, is the airlines. If those airlines didn't run those flights, it wouldn't be possible. But actually, the receiving countries need to be lobbied and targeted, the governments of those countries as well. So that's another aspect. And we've been involved in some protests and direct actions against TUI, who were the airline that were doing the most flights this year, but they seem to have stopped. And we did the same with Virgin a couple of years ago. We targeted British Airways with other groups. So there's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot that can be done, and there's a lot more I could actually say about what we do. But what I'd say is look at the links that I've put into the chat. I'll put a link to our website, there are some model letters and other things there that will give people some of the tools to work with us in campaign. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, we have to cut you. And you have to make your presentation short. We know you have more to share and we love it. We'll go and we share the link to others. I will not waste any further time. I will just hand you over to Brian to tell us way forward what we can do next. Thank you, Brian.